Yeah, you keep telling yourself that, buddy. Sometimes I wish I was a Vulcan. Then I could be a total jerk all the time and explain everything away with the line, "If I seem insensitive to what you're going through, understand. It's the way I am." The Enemy Within is the very first transporter accident episode, and it's still the best. Sorry, Thomas Riker, but nothing is more fun than watching Kirk fight himself. Or at least fight his stunt double. There is no split-screen effects used here. This episode relies on clever editing to make us believe there's a good Kirk and an evil Kirk in the same scene. Most of the time it works, except for when they're both on screen together. Then we can tell that Shatner's stunt double put in overtime on this episode. The main story about Kirk's evil double is fantastic. The fun possibilities with this idea are endless, and they're definitely explored. My favorite part is toward the beginning, before anyone realizes there's an evil Kirk, and the good Kirk gets ambushed by people who think he tried to rape them, or attack them, or steal Saurian brandy from them, and there's a lot of interesting philosophy debated about how most of Kirk's command skills come from his negative side. It's weird that Spock and McCoy don't immediately relieve him of his command after they figure that out. They spend the rest of the episode watching him get more indecisive, and every time he can't make a choice, one of them says, "Okay, Jim, are you sure you don't want to give up command yet?" "Nope," says Kirk, "I'm just fine." "Okay," says McCoy and Spock, "you just let us know when you're indecisive enough to decide you don't want to be the captain anymore." This is one of Shatner's best episodes. He plays two very different characters from his regular Kirk. The good Kirk gets flimsier and flimsier, and the evil Kirk is, well, pretty evil. He has a bunch of new facial expressions you'd never expect to see from the real Kirk, and he yells stuff like, "I'm Captain Kirk!" You know, like that will convince everyone, because it's just like regular Kirk to go around the ship yelling, "I'm Captain Kirk!" It also looks like Kirk's evil side is the one with his Spider-Man powers. But he is not completely a one-dimensional character. At the end, we find that neither Kirk can live without the other one. And even though the bad Kirk just wants to get drunk and attack beautiful women, he figures this out too. There's more cool Spock stuff here, as Spock explains that when the two Kirks are brought back together, they'll survive on intellect and willpower. He knows this because he lives with two entirely different sides too. As interesting as all of this stuff is, it's hard sometimes to take it seriously. Sure, there's a bunch of neat philosophy, but half the time Spock or Kirk is holding this cute alien dog wearing a headband while they're debating it. And it would be a lot easier to feel bad for the folks freezing down on the planet if I'd never heard of a shuttlecraft before. See, they can't beam them up because they might get duplicated like Kirk and the headband dog, so they're down there freezing to death. I guess they didn't invent shuttles until after all of this stuff happened. I also have to mention how dumb some of the one-shot crewmen are in this episode. The funniest is when evil Kirk goes up to this guy and asks for his phaser, and the guy gives it to him! Seconds after good Kirk comes over the comm and tells everybody that evil Kirk just escaped. Can I have a phaser?" Well, you look like Captain Kirk to me. Here you go." Ah! Quick production lesson. This one was written by classic sci-fi writer Richard Matheson, who wrote the original I Am Legend novel in 1954, plus a bunch of other novels and short stories. And an interesting note, there's a first season episode of Stargate SG-1 where there's a duplicate of O'Neill that's similar to the evil Kirk. There's also one in the same season called The Enemy Within, but that's not the same episode. Weird. I give this episode 3.5 bananas. Sometimes it's hard to take seriously, but it's so much fun to watch. And it gets an extra half a banana just because we get to see Kirk hug himself. Well, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time!